So in previous discussions like this, everyone ends inspired, motivated, and ready to travel. And then the question is, how can I afford to do that? To as Quinn has said so eloquently, to travel while poor. My name is Cory Leonard. I work at the Kennedy Center for International Studies with Professor Meekum. We've got a panel here today of students who have done just that. And we wanted to give you some insights from their experiences on how you can afford and pay for those programs. So before we get in and they introduce themselves and we talk about their experiences, just a couple of pieces of information that they sort of learned along the way and that can maybe perhaps be helpful for you. You know, as the pioneer settlers came into the Salt Lake Valley, Brigham Young famously said, "This is the place." Well, BYU, this is the place for you to make the world your campus. BYU as an institution, the Kennedy Center as a group of people are here to help you to make the world your campus. There are so many resources that were not here when I was a student, that were not here 10 years ago. So if there's one thing that you take away from this today and from all of International Education Week this week, we hope it's that it is possible. It is possible to have these transformative experiences at BYU. Every student at BYU can have this experience. So let me show you how to do that. The first thing that you need to do is you need to tell your story. This is just a sample script. Not all of these questions will apply to you, but some of them might, or there may be other items about yourself that are more interesting or more unique. But when you're trying to find support for you to have to travel on an academic experience, you need to communicate very quickly who you are and what are the obstacles that you are facing. Some of those obstacles are very simple. I don't have enough money. Most people might say that, or many students would say that. Some students know, but many students would say that. But what does that mean? What are those obstacles that you individually confront? And as you can articulate that in a very short elevator explanation, that will help you both in writing or in speaking with people that you'll be meeting. So that's the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out, you need to literally like a writing assignment for a class, spend some time and describe what it is that's unique about you. Maybe it is what you're studying. Maybe it is your family situation. Maybe there's nothing in your biographic data that's interesting, but you're trying to do something that the very few people haven't done. Or maybe you're trying to do something that lots of people have done, but you are just coming at it with, you're a little bit further behind. You have to be a little vulnerable. You have to be willing to share some things that might feel uncomfortable, but that's the key, is that you're authentic in communicating, and it has to be quick. No one wants to read a 20-page paper about you for this. They literally just want a short paragraph. So work on this first. The next thing, you already know this, but it's very important, is to create a budget. What are your, not just for the program, but what are your expenses that you're preparing for? What are the costs that you have? You know, BYU and other universities do this as you come to university. You probably did this when you were a freshman, when you moved onto campus or in an apartment. And you probably found that some of the budget items that the university told you maybe didn't match up. Maybe you spent more in one category, less in one category. The important thing is to come up with an estimate. For a BYU study abroad or internship, you can look on a flyer. The flyers on the Kennedy Center website have the basic information. So you know, here's what the program is going to cost. Maybe there are other costs that you have. Maybe you have health expenses. Maybe you had other things that you're paying for. Maybe you're married and you've got a spouse. Maybe you have children. There's lots of things. Maybe you have loans. Whatever it is, it's important, again, to get a good sense of this. Again, it doesn't have to be a long sheet of paper, just very short, summarize that. And that will be important as we get to the next step. Third, you need to find where the opportunities are. And so the Kennedy Center makes this very easy for you in one sense. We have tried to collect all of the resources that would be available for an international study program. And to help you, every Thursday in fall semester, we hold a workshop hosted by our colleague James Mayo in the Kennedy Center at 11 a.m. And this is a one-stop event. There's probably 2 more on the calendar coming up before the semester's over. And we only do it in fall semester in part because that's gearing up for the next year. You can also find most of this information on our website. You can find most of this information by doing searching. So this is not, hard to find, but if you want to come in person, this is an opportunity to do that. This QR code represents a quiz that will help you identify which of the study abroad and international internship related scholarships are most applicable for you. Now, these are major awards. This doesn't include every niche award. There are hundreds of them, but of the major awards that many students take advantage of at BYU, this will help direct you. And so if you can't come Thursday at 11, you can take the quiz and that will help you to find it. And then lastly, you begin asking and applying. And I always tell students, start in your close to home with your own circles of influence. See first of all, what can you put toward the experience? You need to show that you have some skin in the game. What have you saved? What can you sacrifice? Maybe it's taking a second job. Maybe it is taking a loan. What are the things that you're willing to put into this experience? Because it will take extra work and extra commitment. Ask your extended family and just start going through all those circles of influence that you have. But then you get to the university resources that are available. And the reason it's important to start with yourself and your own family and your own connections is because most of the resources you're going to go apply for, they're going to want to know that. They're going to want to know you're not just here because you want something for free. This is not an empanada, right? That's free, right? This is something that you're working toward. That's your goal. And so as you do that, there are a couple things to keep in mind. When you apply for a BYU International Study Program, there's a little box on the form and it says program discount. Pro tip, check the box. All that means is that the study abroad office will look at your application, they'll consider your FAFSA, and if you qualify, and qualifying varies from year to year, it depends on how many people apply and who's applying, you can get $1,000 generally off the top of any program. It's $1,000 discount by checking a box. Easy. So don't forget to do that. That's the first thing. Then you should go to your department and not just your major, but look at your minor and find the inspiring learning money. We're working on building a master sheet. One of the good things about inspiring learning is it's all distributed by your major and your minor. One of the challenging things about inspiring learning is it's all distributed by your major and your minor. And so depending on where your major or minor is, if it's outside the Kennedy Center, outside of the College of Humanities, I can give you a general idea where to go, but probably not the specifics. You have to go talk to your department chair, talk to your department secretary, talk to your faculty advisor. You have to go hunt and find that. It's there, and it's a lot of money that's available. So departments have their own approaches. They have their own ways of giving it. It changes. Sometimes there's that one professor who's only in on Thursday at 2. Sometimes there's 10 people. Figuring that out is key because that could be up to 2,000 and maybe even more that is available for you to help, again, as you're adding to the resources that are available for you. And we can talk about that after in just a sec. Next, when you've identified this internship or the study abroad that you're going to go on, go and talk to your faculty director. If you met them at the fair, you know who they are. If you haven't, look on the flyer. It's on the website. It's in the Kennedy Center. And go and talk to them and say, I want to go on this program. I've applied. I need financial help. Here's what I'm doing. Here's who I am. And you bring back your 30-second bio and you tell them who you are. Here are what obstacles I'm facing. And here's what I'm doing about it. How can you help me? And if you are, especially if you're admitted in a program, there's not a single faculty director who will not do what they can in their resources to help you to go. It may not translate directly into money at that point, but it might. They might point you in the direction of other resources that are unique to your program. So make sure your faculty director is aware of you and knows what your needs are so that they can help you and that others can help you. And then lastly, when you take the quiz, you may find on the survey that you qualify or you should apply for the Gilman Scholarship or the Global Opportunity Scholarship. Both of these are need-based scholarships. They are for students who have financial need. So obviously, to get those, you're going to have to tell your story, have a budget, obviously have applied for a FAFSA to demonstrate need. What if your FAFSA doesn't represent your need? Tell that in your story. What if you have unique obstacles or challenges that you think maybe no one else has? Tell that in your story. At BYU, thanks to James Mayo's efforts, 52 students last year received the Gilman Scholarship, a State Department funded scholarship that provides up to $5,000. Last year, over 50 students received Global Opportunity Scholarships, which provide up to $5,000. They're kind of the same award, but one is from the Department of State and one is from BYU. And you start to do the math and you add these numbers up and you can see up to $5,000 from Gilman, up to $5,000 from Global Opportunity, up to $2,000 from Inspiring Learning, $1,000 off the top. That's not even talking about the other resources you may have found. And you can start to see how a program can cost close to the same as a semester in Provo or become much more affordable. So let's give some examples of students who've actually done this. I'm just going to go, we'll start with Yoder and we'll have them introduce themselves briefly and before we have them talk about their programs.
Hello, my name is Juber Miranda, and I'm an MPA, Master in Public Administration, second year. Last spring, I was able to do a study abroad in the MPA program. We went to 4 countries and 10 cities within a month. It was absolutely amazing. And it was a great experience. There was no way that I was able to learn what I learned in those countries if I was, in a class setting. I was able to get some religious awareness. We went to Morocco, where everybody, pretty much everybody is Muslims. We went to Europe. We went to Portugal, France, Spain, England. So it was, I mean, I have tons of stories, but basically what I learned there is that the way that we do things maybe in our country is not how the world does it every single time. So my global mindset is different now. Actually, my professional path is different now because of my study abroad. I'm a total different person now. What I want to do with my master's right now is to do intergovernmental approaches for making impact in the world. I didn't know I wanted to do that before my study abroad. So I'm a total different person now.
Thanks, Huber. Daniel.
Yeah, my name is Daniel Taylor. I'm currently an accounting major here at BYU, so a little different path. I'm minoring in Korean. I've been able to pass 2 summers actually with the FLAS scholarship, the Foreign Language and Area Studies. I've gone to South Korea for 2.5 months each summer. I've been able to study at a university there. I served part of my mission due to COVID in South Korea and never got the opportunity to develop the language quite like I wanted to. And it's very expensive to get over to Korea. And the cost of living there is also expensive. And so to have the opportunity to have funding to go there has really changed the trajectory of my path as well. This next summer, I'm actually doing an internship there with an international firm. So I'm very excited about that. And really, I want to echo everything that was just said, that these opportunities, being there in these countries, you develop such a deep appreciation for other people and other cultures, and you get to understand a little bit more about them. And so I am so grateful for the opportunity I had to get that funding to go and to experience that part of the world in a different way than I did on my mission. And it's really helped me with the language as well, and obviously preparing me to work internationally in Korea one day.
Thanks, Daniel. Adrian.
Shoot, these guys are so cool. I'm Adrian Bautista. I'm a junior. I'm studying psychology, minoring in Italian. I went to the SAGE, Greece and Italy, Rhetoric, Food, and Architecture program. It was super cool. Completely changed my life. I think I mean, I don't know. It was my first time going internationally. My parents are from Mexico. They came in with visas. They expired. So going abroad wasn't really an option because they wouldn't be able to come back. And so not knowing what was out there was, it always bugged me. And so getting this opportunity to just go abroad, learn different cultures. I learned about the Greek civilization, the Roman civilization, where they were, which I mean, like, I'll take that in a classroom, but you know, being there, it's just a whole different, whole different level. And yeah, it's kind of weird, but it changed the trajectory of my career as well. Being out there and like receiving all this help from the faculty, I realized like I kind of want to do academic advising as well and help those that were in my situation get to the point where I am today. Yeah.
Awesome. So you've already kind of introduced a little bit of the benefits of your program. Tell us a little bit more about the obstacles that you faced, all the reasons why you wouldn't have been able to do these programs, and then like tell us a little bit how you overcame them, or what was your path.
So I don't know if you realize, but I'm an international student. I don't know, I don't look like that. I'm just kidding. So I'm from Ecuador. Ecuador is one of the 4 smallest countries in South America. It's a beautiful country, but it's not very political stable per se. So we came to US, we sold everything that we had in our country. And I knew for sure when I came to my master's that I wanted to do a study abroad because my goal is to work internationally. And I saved some money for this study abroad. I set it apart and I have it ready for the study abroad. I found out that because of pandemic, MPA didn't have the study abroad anymore. And I was really sad. But after my second semester, they opened one. And it was all these countries that I just told you. And during my first year, I cannot work. That's part of the master's. You can't work the first year of your master's. So I wasn't able to work. My wife was working, but we found out that we were pregnant. And she had a high-risk pregnancy, so she couldn't work anymore. And I had to use that money for the medical situation that we had at that time. So we were really sad because as an international student, you can go only your first year. You cannot go second year for visa situations and issues. So I was really sad. We prayed, and then I went to the Kennedy Center webpage. I did the quiz that you guys just saw, the QR code, and I had several options that I was qualified for. So I went and I talked to James Mayo. He's an amazing advisor. He will guide you through the whole process. Do not take that as granted. So you guys go ahead and talk to him. And first, do the quiz. It's the first thing that he's gonna tell you. Did you take the quiz? So yeah, do that. And I did. I explained my situation. Because I'm from Ecuador, I have visa issues in several countries. So I had to get visas for pretty much, so 4 countries, I needed visa for 3 countries. So I needed money for that. So I was my wife's savings and my family and several other savings that we had, we use it for the documentation, but I needed the money for the actual study abroad. So to make the story short, I am one of the global opportunity scholarship recipients. And I can tell you by fact that when you go out there, you will see something changes in your mindset. It's hard to explain. It is hard to explain with words, but I don't know any single person that has gone through a study abroad and come back and say, that wasn't worth it. There is not just one person that I met. It's gonna be a life-changing time for you guys. So opportunities, resources are there. Just go ahead and take them.
Thank you for sharing that. My experience is a little bit different. I don't know if we're supposed to put numbers on anything, but to get to Korea on a study abroad is anywhere from 8 to 10 grand. And plane tickets alone are usually around 3 grand. So it was really expensive. I do not have those resources. If you're sitting on that, congratulations, you're ahead of where I'm at. And to make that even a little bit more intense, I got married right before this last summer. So my wife came with me this time. And so the biggest things I can suggest is you have to make some sacrifices. And I also want to talk about not self-selecting. My freshman year, I went to the study abroad fair, was so excited, hoping for an opportunity. And I also met James Mayo, again, incredible resource. And I did not think I would get anything, any scholarship. He's like, apply, I do the steps. I went in, I did them, and I got the scholarship to be able to go this summer, or my first summer, my freshman year. And so that's the first thing. Don't self-select out of any of these. Apply for everything. Take advantage of the opportunity. I didn't think I was going to get it, and I did. And I'm so grateful that I took a chance on James' word to try that out. And another thing to understand is that you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. I definitely had to save up for these as well. I mean, the scholarship alone covered the majority, but didn't cover everything. And so I had to work, I had to save up for these study abroads. You know, when I had to pick my place to stay at this last summer, it was a 1-room Airbnb, had very little kitchen, if any, and we had to spray cockroach spray on the door at night to make sure cockroaches didn't get in. But honestly, that was an incredible experience, seeing that part of Korea. You know, it wasn't the nicest place, but we loved doing that. And so just realize that these resources can give you the best experience, but also to make those sacrifices to make them a possibility.
Sweet. Thanks, guys. I feel like I had it, easier because I'm not married, so there was less expenses for me. But I'm a first gen student. And so I think the first obstacle that I had was that I didn't know anything about anything. And so working at the advisement center, I came to find out about what a study abroad was and how cool it was. All the advisors were like, I regret not going. So I'm like, shoot, well, I'm gonna see what it's about. And so for one of the training requirements, my supervisor was like, you guys have to go to the study abroad fair. And so I went. I wasn't expecting anything. I heard food, got super interested, got tricked into applying. I finished talking to John Malzati, which was the director. And as soon as I finished, I ran to the office. I applied, submitted the application, and then realized, crap, I don't have the money for it. So I'm like completely broke, didn't plan for it. So there was no time to save. And so once I committed to the application, I'm like, well, in case the odds are that, I get accepted into the program, I might as well just start preparing. And so I got 2 jobs. I started, so I worked back home with my dad in his little company. And so I reached out, which was super, super awkward for me, but I reached out to some of the clients that I knew very well that had some form of relationship. And awkwardly enough, only one of them helped me out. But she was super nice. And I'll get into specifics to help you guys realize like where all the money came from. But she gave me $700, and that's where it started. I told her, I asked her, I was like, is it worth it? Is it worth going into debt for this? And she's like, do you want it? And I was like, yes, I want it. Do you think it'll help you? Yes, I think it'll help me. And so she's like, okay, well, here's the first $500 for your first payment. And so as soon as that got started, I just got inspired to look for more money to afford it. And so I went to the advisors. I just started flipping every rock. So the first one, I'm an MSS student. And so my tuition's paid for through a scholarship. So I knew that would help me. Then I applied to their experiential learning scholarship. And that got me, I think it was like $3,000. I did the ISP discount. I was very nervous because when I was applying, I did not have a 3.0. So I really had to get that semester, to bump up my grade. And so I worked really hard, I'm not academically savvy. So it was intense for me. And so I got the ISP discount, which was $1,000. I caught the Global Opportunity Scholarship, which was the biggest one, I feel like, $5,000. Then I realized maybe this won't be enough. Maybe I won't get enough to pay for the whole thing. So then I started thinking, well, I need the money soon. The scholarships are kind of crazy because they come in like 2 weeks before you leave. So it's all a gamble. And so I realized, oh, I might have to take out a loan. And so I went to the financial advisor that we have here for students, Paul Conrad. And Paul does not like loans. He says, if you don't have to, don't take them. And I was like, Paul, I really want to go. He's like, are you planning on taking any more like loans out for your undergrads? And I was like, no. He goes, just do it. And so I took out, I think it was 2,500 in loans. It was subsidized loans. So didn't have to worry about it until I finished school. But with that money, I paid for my airfare. But then I got like, to pay that back. So I was very stressed. So I kept looking for more scholarships. And I feel like I did one of the craziest things within that, and that was to declare a minor. I don't like school, but I'm like, if this will help me, I'll get in some extra classes. And so I went to the English department. I said, you know what, I'll commit to this if this means, getting more money. And so that got me $1,600. So all these little scholarships started piling up. I got enough to afford the program. And actually, I ended up getting all the scholarships, which I feel like I'm super blessed, and I feel like it might be super rare. I don't really know, but I ended up getting like $6,000 in surplus, and they don't take away that money. It's a scholarship, so they give it to you. And so I had enough to not stress about my expenses during the program, which is very nice. And I also had enough to not worry about bills after I got back from, because it's like a whole month without working, right? So you got to worry about that too. And so yeah, like that's just everything I had to do to be okay after that study abroad program. And honestly, I don't regret the work. It was hard. A lot of writing, not good at writing, but just selling my story really, really, really helped. So yeah.
Go ahead. Can I actually say something else? One thing I forgot to mention that my two fellow students did do is please go talk to your departments. I did not do that. And I found out after the fact that I actually could have had more things covered, but I didn't take advantage of that opportunity. So please, whether it's the language department or whatever department you're going to, even like the Marriott School of Business had things I could have taken advantage of, but I didn't. So please be sure to check with your departments too.
So if we had 50 students here on the panel, you would hear 50 fairly different stories. And I think it's important to recognize that your story, the scholarships, the funding, your path may be entirely different from the 3 stories you've heard, but hopefully it gives you a perspective and a vision that it is possible. And some of the students like Mara Dill and Greta and Caitlin, who weren't able to join us today, would have different perspectives on different programs. I hope you realize also every major has these resources, every college, and study abroads and internships vary widely. There are engineering programs, science programs, MPA programs, literature programs, law programs. Every discipline, every college has different programs as well as general education programs that you're all qualified for. So with that, any final comments or any final thoughts that you would want to say? And then we'll just open it up for a few questions. We have about 10 minutes left.
It's worth the gamble. I like I said, trying different foods for me was like the biggest thing. I'm a big food guy, and learning about the cultures was super cool. I love Greek people. They were super cool. Like learning the different like attributes that their culture had. There was a lot of stray cats, but there was never an ugly one, and they were all fat because they were so welcoming. They were so giving. I was eating outside of the patio, and they asked how many people. 3. There was 4 chairs, and on the 4th one there was a cat sitting on the chair. And so I ate my dinner with a cat next to me. And so you're gonna find a lot of incredible things from these people, things that you want to be around, things that you want to go back and visit. And so, like you said, it's worth the gamble. It really is.
My suggestion would be to just take advantage of being in the culture, talk to everyone that you can. And if you're wondering if it's worth it or not, it totally is worth it to go do a study abroad. So many people actually told me not to, that I needed an internship with my career, that it wasn't going to pay off. And it did the opposite. That's not the case for everyone, but don't select out of this incredible experience, because this is likely the only time that you'll be able to have this kind of experience.
So when in the world will you be able to actually experience what you learn in school, like in real life? So I was sleeping because as the speaker was saying, you will need very good shoes because you're gonna be walking a lot and you will be tired by the end of the day. So I was sleeping and then I started listening to this. I don't know, it was like somebody speaking in a microphone very loudly. And I realized that it was the announcement for the Muslims to go to pray. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So that's good. Then I realized that they did it 5 times a day. So now that I learned a little more about Islam, it also got me closer to my God in my own religion. I know that without that experience that I have there, talking to the people, talking to their, their culture and religion and background and everything, wouldn't got me the closest place that I am with my God. So this is not just going to be a professional experience, but it's more likely to be also a spiritual experience. So take advantage of it. As he just mentioned, this is just one shot in your, academic career. So take advantage of it.
We have about 5 minutes. Any questions? And when you ask a question, I'd love to hear if there's a program you're thinking about or what you're aiming for. Please. It's especially available. It's undergraduates primarily. Yeah. Inspiring Learning is a university program. Money's given to the departments for undergraduate. Graduate students, it works a little bit differently. There is Inspiring Learning, but it's administered differently. But for undergraduates, it's through your department. So you need to figure out how your department's distributed. The Global Management Center might be a place to go and check. That would be on the 3rd floor in the business school. I know in the College of Humanities, they have a website with a link. It's about as easy as any college. They've mastered it. You just fill out a link as a minor or a major, and you put down the program. But it varies from college to college, and that's one of the tricky things. You'll get funded by the program that you're in. If you're not admitted to a program, it can get a little tricky. So again, the colleges figure that out. Some colleges won't give you money until you're in the program. Some colleges will say if you're declared in that major, then you're good to go, but it varies. You need to talk to them. It's all run by the colleges for Inspiring Learning. Yeah, please.
So sometimes they don't have funding, but they have subsidized programs. So for instance, in my case, it was already subsidized.
What that means is the money goes into the program to lower the cost. So everyone gets a scholarship, basically.
And to comment on that, I would check with the pre-business advisors on the 4th floor of the Tanner building.
Yeah.
Okay. So
if you go to the Kennedy Center travel office in 280, there are computer terminals that are set up there, and you can actually go in anytime, any day, 8 to 5, and you can look at travel prices right there. You'll get the university church contract, which is usually better. But you'll be able to see all the options that will be out there. And obviously, if you have multiple trips like your program, it can get very complicated. Yeah, and travel's a tricky one, but that's where I would start as a good place for help. And your programs may provide us additional guidance, because with the programs, sometimes they can give you guidance on what flights they have found in your prep course. A lot of times, faculty directors will say, we're looking at these flights and here are the options.
Yeah, I was gonna say, at least for him and I, it was $2 to $3 grand. So I feel like that's like a good price range to start thinking about. If you're thinking about like buying your own airfare, there's risks to that. I know that the Kennedy Center provides insurance for, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they provide insurance for your airfare. So if something goes wrong, you'll be insured. So food for thought.
All of the problems I've seen with students who had horror stories were students who bought their own airfare. So we encourage students to go through the BYU travel office. There are lots of things that can happen in the world, as Professor Meekum talked about. There can be things that pop up, and when you're going through BYU travel, again, you're part of that group. You might pay $100 more, a couple $100 more, but that's that peace of mind that you're not going to lose all of that money is why we do that. And the BYU travel office deals with this constantly, right? 2,500 students from BYU went abroad last year, so they know what they're doing and they are focused on getting the best possible price. Sometimes it's, again, it's not the Google flight price you found, but that doesn't have a 24-hour layover in Helsinki where there's a volcano erupting that you didn't know about. So those are the kinds of things that the professionals can help you avoid. And obviously we want you to be safe, and the university is responsible for your safety while you're there. And so we have a lot of resources that make sure that you get where you need to be, you're safe and healthy, and come back safely. 280 is the travel office. Any other questions? You're welcome to come up. We can mix and mingle, but if there aren't, thanks for joining us for this workshop. We hope you've had a great International Education Week. We hope to see you at 2 o'clock at the Kennedy Center for the Gamelan Indonesian performance, and also watch at the BYU football game tomorrow. BYU Athletics will be recognizing international student athletes, another key part of our International Education Week focus. So thanks for coming. Do we have any more empanadas? They're gone. So hope you got your fill. Thanks for coming and have a great day.